Tell us about your experience as the in-house architect at the Wolfgang Puck Food Company prior to starting your own company, SFJones Architects, in 1996.
From being an architect who mostly worked on office buildings and not working in kitchens or restaurants, the biggest thing that I took back from me was the fact that I got a behind-the-scenes education of what it would be like, or what the workings of a restaurant from an operations standpoint, and from a functionality part that really was a great insight, and has kind of been like the crutch of my further development of understanding design of restaurants.
What are some of the designs you've created?
I did the Lucky Strikes bowling lane, which was a concept that was kind of taking the traditional bowling lane and making it more of an entertainment facilities. And so, and that was we did the initial one in Hollywood, and then we did a few, 10 more around the country. So that was a pretty good project for us, as well as more recently we've been doing some other. We're doing a Simsey's restaurant, which is kind of more like a beer gastropub, or the Manhattan Beach Post, which is a little more sharing, communal tables, small plates, kind of tapas.
What goes into designing a restaurant or nightclub? What elements do you feel are most important?
Well, I mean, obviously the ambiance, to be able to create the mood and the setting with lighting, spatial relationships of intimate spaces that you are a gathering, or open places where you want to be seen and you want people to see you. It's that kind of correct mixture of the two.
How do you prepare for a new design? Is it important to understand the type of establishment, neighborhood, clientele?
Well, it's obviously the owner comes to me with the concept. So the better the concept, the better the the better the concept, the stronger the view. So understanding it, and really not just knowing what the look is supposed to look like, but what is how are people supposed to interact, and how is the customer being served, and is it a place where where you're trying to create a lot of energy, or is it a place where you're trying to kind of give little places of privacy? I mean, they tell me we want to be able to serve 30 different flavors of beer, and so well, like this project we're working on right now, we came up with the design of this bar that has all of these kegs behind a glass cooler that serve beer and kind of evoke a feeling of a beer drinking place. So that's what I mean by taking a concept and an idea, and then we're adding to it, and adding the element that becomes built.
What mistakes have you seen in architecture in the nightlife industry?
Well, I think that one of the things, and this is kind of like a pet peeve amongst people, is not having enough bathrooms. I don't know how many times I get complaints where, can you make more stalls in the women's bathroom? Because there's always a line, and usually we're trying to maximize space, dining space and bar space, so we cut those things down. But that's I don't know if it's necessarily a mistake, or it's just a product of of the programming and trying to get everything to work. But in the design in a bar, the lighting is one of the things I've seen a mistake happen. That there's a bar that I went to recently, and they have this blue neon light cove that runs the whole restaurant or a whole space, and everybody looks like death, because of the blue light. It's like changing the complexion of their skin, and of course the blue light looks cool, and but when you're not looking your best, you know, you don't feel your best, and kind of, you know, so that's a big mistake I see happens.
What does the future hold for you and SFJones Architects?
Yeah, big plans. Actually, we've been doing a lot of work in China. Some new projects. I just got back last week, and we've got a couple of projects going over there. The scale and the intensity of the construction is much bigger. There's a lot more going on, and our role is, you know, more just the conceptual design and getting, you know, the big idea down, and so that's where we're going.
At what point in planning a nightclub should the architect be brought in?
Securing the space is probably the #1 spot. I've had people come to me before they have a space and they want me to do a design for something, and kind of hypothetically, you know, and you know, until we have something real that we can design to that space, because everything's so specific, it's a little bit too early. But if you're, you know, getting ready, if you have a space and you've already kind of figured out the demographics of the space works for you, and you're looking at, you know, that's the like ideal time to bring in the architect and designer to be able to say, you know, this works, you know, this isn't work, and then point out things that they might not have, you know, visually realized at the point that you know, at that point we can help establish whether or not the space really is right for their concept, and then start to, you know, analyze things as budgeting and how long it's going to take to get permits and get involved. So that we try to get in early, and then, you know, the contractor comes in at a later period. And once we have something that they can start to put numbers to and you know, budget out. And of course, that's always a big portion of the project.